What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rob. I like to play games, and welcome back to the Commander Corner. Today, we are going to be taking a look at another commander from Aether Drift that seemed to really spark some interest amongst you, and I wanted to highlight one of the decks that I personally have. So let's take a look here at Speeding Home, my Mendicant Core Guidelight deck. Alright, and here we are at the deck. Let's take a look at Mendicant Core, shall we? He's an Azorius commander, white-blue, so he's only a 2-mana commander, which is really nice for what we're trying to do here. Legendary creature artifact, or robot. His power is equal to the number of artifacts you control, and he has Start Your Engines. Start Your Engines says when this creature enters the battlefield, if you have not yet started your engines, you gain speed 1. Then you gain 1 speed each of your turns the first time you deal damage to an opponent. This includes combat damage as well as ability damage. So if you're able to just ping them for 1 damage, it triggers. And then once you reach speed 4, which is max speed, most of the Start Your Engines cards have an ability on them that triggers or activates. In this case, Mendicant Core says max speed. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 1. If you do, copy it. Now that may seem very familiar to some of you if you've watched some of my other videos here, or if you've paid attention to the new Marvel superhero set. That sounds very much like Ultron artificial. What is it? I got him in the sideboard here. Artificial Malevolence. That's right. So, how are we going to be doing that? How are we going to be looking to trigger Mendicant early and fast? Well, the first real way is some of our early game plays here are cheap 1-mana artifacts that gain flying. Mandibular Kite, yes, it makes a 0/0 living germ, but it gives +1/+1 in flying, and then you can equip it later. I liked this card specifically because I can give Mendicant flying later in the game. Network Disruptor, similar thing. 1 blue, 1/1 flying. When it enters, tap target permanent. Gets in there real early. And Silver Raven. 1 mana flying artifact bird. When it enters the battlefield, scry 1. So nice abilities there that allow us to put some early pressure on. We've also got Skrelv over here, Defector Might. This is in my protection section because you can use Skrelv's white Phyrexian ability to tap it, choose a color, target creature you control and gains Toxic 1 and Hexproof from that color until end of turn. It can't be blocked by creatures of that color this turn, which is really nice, as well as we're running K9 Mark 1 for my protection section. This is from the Doctor Who set, so 1 blue, 1/1 negative. As long as K9 Mark 1 is untapped, other legendary creatures you control have Ward 1, and affirmative. 1 of anything in blue, target legendary creature can't be blocked. So really just awesome ability there. We're also running, Esper Sentinel. I don't think that requires a lot of thought or explanation here. Esper Sentinel is one of the strongest cards in Magic right now. 1 white artifact. Whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, draw a card unless that player pays X, where X is Esper Sentinel's power. Typically, this is only going to be 1, but, at some point, I am going to draw cards on it, and there are multiple ways to make that even stronger. So let's look at some of those ways. We have Adaptive Omni Tool. This is an equipment for 2 mana. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Yeah, we're an artifact deck, so we're running those abilities. And whenever equipped creature attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact among them and put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. As well as Nettle Cyst. This card should be of, very well known amongst a lot of you here. 3 mana living weapon, so makes that germ token again. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact or enchantment under your control. Just a really powerful all-star there. This deck, it plays like you would imagine most artifact decks do. It's meant to start off a little bit slow, but once that engine is running, oh baby, let's get moving. We are running a number of affinity-based cards here. We have Aethersworn Sphinx. It is a 9 mana 4/4, but it has affinity for artifacts, flying, and cascade. This thing enters, it's putting something into the battlefield. And guess what? Mendicant Core, when you copy it, it enters as a 9 mana card, so you're getting 2. Voyage Home. This is from the Aether Drift Sept itself. 7 mana, draw 3, gain 3, affinity for artifacts. Thought Monitor, we've talked about that before, as well as Thoughtcast. We're also running Canoptic Spider here. This allows us to draw whenever a non-token artifact enters. Honestly, I really just like this card from the Warhammer set. I'm a huge Necron fan and thought that this was really just thematically powerful for what we're trying to do. Thopter Spy Network, we're kind of an aggressive deck, so we want to be able to deal combat damage to draw cards, but as well as this makes Thopters each turn. We're also running Padim. It's kind of a dual thing. It has draw at the beginning of your upkeep. If you control the artifact with the highest mana value or is tied, draw a card. Unless you're playing against another artifact deck, you're almost always going to have the highest mana value in play, so that's good. As well as it just gives everything hexproof. Binding of Thassa, another one of the Thopter Spy type effects. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. And then you can make it so that creatures your opponents control attack this turn if able. You can force your opponents to have to swing in. Thirst for Knowledge is a pretty decent card. We've seen that one before, as well as Loshel, Clockwork Scholar. 3 mana, 2/4, prevent all combat damage that we've dealt to attacking artifact creatures you control. We're aggressive, we want to get in there. And whenever one or more artifact creatures enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Ability triggers only once each turn. We are running a small combo here as well with the Reality Chip and Sensei's Divining Top. If you don't know that combo, whoop, that's not what we want to do. Let's get that back in there. So the Reality Chip here allows you to look at the top card of your library at any time. As long as it's attached to a creature, you may play lands and cast spells from among the top of your library. Sensei's Divining Top allows you to tap it, draw a card, and put the top on top of its owner's library. That plus any of our cost reducers like Ethereum Sculptor, Foundry Inspector, Voyager Quick Welder, these will allow us to basically play it for free off the top of our deck. Now, there's not really much of a payoff here like there would be in like a red or a black deck where we would drain or burn our opponents for doing it. However, something that's interesting is every time you're playing that, you can just pay the 1 copy it, make 2 tops, which allows you to kind of just loop very quickly there. And in fact, you really don't even need the Reality Chip for that. You can, I mean, you need the chip for that, but you don't need a cost reducer, so to speak, because what you can do is, actually, no, strike that. You don't need the chip. You cast the top for free, pay 1, make a copy of it. You tap to put the real top back on your deck, and then tap the fake top to draw the top again. So it allows you to kind of just loop that way, giving you a really nice way to play there. Now, we do have a decently large removal package. I've got 13 cards here and 2 here. Mass removal, we're running just Desync and Organic Extinction, just ways to kind of clear the way for us to win. But as our standard removal package, we've got Dispatch, which is Metalcraft. If you control 3 or more artifacts, exile target creature. Path to Exile requires no explanation. Portable Hole is one that I actually have been really enjoying in this deck. When it enters, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls with mana value 2 or less. So really great, especially if you copy it. Swords to Plowshare doesn't require much explanation. Diversion Unit, one of my favorite cards from Aether Drift. One of anything in blue for a 2/1 flyer. You can pay a blue, sack it, counter target instant sorcery spell unless its controller pays 3. I've actually won a game because this thing was in play, and my opponent didn't want to activate a card that would destroy me because he knew I would just counter it. Lion Sash, we talked about this a few weeks ago. One of anything in a white for a 1/1. You can pay a white, exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each +1/+1 on Lion Sash. It has reconfigure, so I can equip it to a creature at any time for 2 mana. Reality Shift, solid card. Fierce Guardianship, this is a bracket 3 deck, so having a free counterspell in this deck is almost necessary. Perilous Snare, this is another Start Your Engines card. 2 of anything in a white. When it enters, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls until this artifact leaves the battlefield. So, it has that Oblivion Ring style effect, which is really nice. But then at max speed, you can tap it to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. That's really solid. Like, normally you have like those Oblivion Rings and stuff like that, and they just kind of sit there. This one actually does something for you later in the game, which is great. Stroke of Midnight for another one of those just, I feel like destroying any target style things. An Unidentified Hover Ship. This was an interesting one that I didn't quite know what I wanted to do with it, but I decided to try it out. One of anything double white for a 2/2 vehicle. Flying, when it enters, exile up to one target creature with toughness 5 or less. Realistically, this hits just about everything on the table. Most people aren't going to have creatures with toughness 5 or less, and if they do, you probably have bigger threat things to worry about, plus we have removal for that. But what's great about this is we exile that creature, and then when the hover ship leaves the battlefield, the exiled owner manifests dread. So they don't get their creature back when they destroy the hover ship, which is great. The crewing on this is only 1, and it's a 2/2 flyer. Like, it does a lot of things. Same thing here with White Auracite. When it enters, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls until this artifact leaves the battlefield. It's a 4-mana rock. That kills something while we're at it. And then lastly, in my removal suite here, we're running Riptide Gearhulk. This thing is absolutely a menace to deal with. It is a 5-mana 2/5 double strike prowess, so it gets bigger every time we cast a non-creature spell. And when it enters, for each opponent, put up to one target non-land permanent that player controls into their owner's library, third from the top. So really massive thing there. And then, of course, we're running a slight token strategy. We are an artifact deck after all. Nesting Bot, this allows us to do start your engines really early. Typically, in games that I play, it's Mendicant that starts it. Having that 1-drop then allows us to go to speed 2 on the first turn. But this card will drop and start your engines right away. That means I don't have to necessarily play Mendicant right away. I can hold him back. Mendicant is 2 purposes. One, he's my cloning army machine. And the other part that he does is he does the max speed. He starts my engines, which is great. We're also running Simulacrum Synthesizer. This card requires no explanation. You all know what this does. It is massive, it is big, and it will ruin your day. Stridehanger Automaton makes an extra Thopter every time I make a token, which is great, as well as gives my Thopters +1/+1. Worldwalker Helm makes map tokens whenever I cast an artifact, as well as I can create a token that's a copy of target artifact I control. This is really strong, as it does have an infinite loop with Urza, if we choose to go that route with Mendicant, which allows me to basically generate infinite mana and win the game from there. Canoptic Scarab Swarm, another card from Warhammer. This is a 4-mana 1/1 flying insect that's an artifact, but when it enters, exile target player's graveyard. For each artifact or land exiled this way, create a 1/1 colorless insect creature token. Got that pesky, reanimator style deck at your table? Not anymore. You got someone who likes to mill a bunch of lands and then bring them back from their graveyard? Not anymore. Plus, you get an army out of it, so it's really cool. Sorry about that. Thousand Moons Smithy. This is a newer card I added here that is insanely powerful. It's a 4-mana legendary artifact, so we're not going to be copying it with Mendicant Core, but that's quite alright. This card does enough on its own. When it enters the battlefield, create a white Gnome Soldier artifact creature token with this creature's power and toughness is each equal to the number of artifacts and or creatures you control. That sounds familiar. Sounds a lot like, our Karnstrucks, which is exactly why I wanted it here. And then at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, if you may tap 5 untapped artifacts and or creatures you control. If you do, transform it. When it transforms into a land that taps for a white, but whenever you cast an artifact or creature spell using mana produced by this land, you create another one of those gnomes. So it gives us another way to just constantly be making huge creatures that can get in and win the game. And then lastly, we have Illustrious Wanderglyph. This is a 5-mana 2/2 with Ascend. If you control 10 or more permanents, you get the City's Blessing for the rest of the game. Other artifacts you control get +2/+2 as long as you have the City's Blessing. Cool. Anthem effect. Love it. Especially when you have 2 of these in play. Gets really powerful. And then at the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature token. Note how that says each upkeep. That does not just mean yours, that means your opponent's as well. So that means in 1 turn rotation, I'm making 4 artifacts. Yeah, you're going to hit the City's Blessing very quickly with this card, even on an empty board state. So, very powerful card, very, very strong with what we're looking to do here. Ramp package is pretty standard for a bracket 3 deck. We've got a Mox Opal, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Artificer Class, Ethereum Sculptor, Talisman of Progress, Cloud Key, Foundry Inspector, Voyager Quick Welder, Sad Robot, simply because we can clone it, as well as Urza. Other than that, one last card, or a couple last cards I want to kind of go over that really shine in this deck. Steel Seraph, this thing is absolutely insane. It's a 6 mana artifact angel that's a 5/4 with flying. Beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gains your choice of flying, vigilance, or lifelink until end of turn. But it has prototype. So instead of paying 6 mana, we can pay 1 of anything in 2 white with all of our reducers, typically 2 white, and we get a 3/3 version of the same creature. Now, what's really cool is with Mendicant, if we copy it, we get the same abilities. So we make 2 copies of the 3/3 prototype, but then we get to choose the ability twice, which is really powerful in this deck. We're also running Cyberdrive Awakener. I don't feel this requires much explanation. Other artifacts you control have flying, as well as then it enters the battlefield. Each non-creature artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/4, so it turns all of our map tokens into 4/4s. And then lastly, Cyberman Squadron. Non-legendary artifact creatures you control have Myriad. That's going to allow us to take things like the Guidelight Synergist, which is a 4 mana 0/4 that gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. Now each of my opponents has one coming at it, as well as Bronze Guardian. This thing is absolutely a menace if you can get more than one. So it is a 5 mana double strike. Power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. Other artifacts have Ward 2, and it has Ward 2 itself. You make 2 of these, that's 2 instances of Ward 2 on every artifact you control. That is nuts. So, as normal, let's go into a playtester real quick, and I will show you kind of how the deck runs, and then we will go into the Navy board with some cards and upgrades that I've been looking at for this deck. We won't spend a lot of time there, but if you do like my content, please consider giving me a subscription or subscribe to my channel. Be wonderful. I'm looking to hit some milestones here. Our goal is to hit 500 by the end of the year, but realistic goal is going to be 100, and every subscription helps. So if I've piqued your interest or earned your subscription, please feel free to do that. All right, we're taking a look at our opening hand here, and it's a pretty decent one. Let's take a. So we're probably going to start off, yeah, with Hallowed Fountain, and we're going to play Hope of Gearfer. Next turn. Now, I just want to check. Which one are you? You're the slow land. Okay, so we're just going to go like this. Blue, white, this. Did they put the speed token here? Nope, they didn't. So, we're going to do start your engines. We're going to get that token because we started. We'll put a generic counter on it. Hope of Gelfner will deal 1 damage to someone because it's a flyer. We'll go to speed 2. And you know what? We've got the artifacts. We'll do Mox Opal as well now. So now we've got 3 artifacts in play. Our turn. We'll pay 1. And let's just do, we'll do the Nesting Bot, as well as we'll do the Foundry Inspector. We'll swing, we'll hit someone there, we'll do that. We might as well do Sensei's Divining Top while we're at it. You know what? Oh, they tried to destroy that, so we'll draw a card, put that to the top, we'll go next turn. Alright, now what we're going to do, we'll play this, we'll go here, get to speed 4, and now the world is our oyster. Now we get to go pay 1, make 2 tops. Let's pay 1, look at the top 3 cards of our library. Okay, some decent cards there. Nothing really that we're going to do, but we'll do this. Draw a card. Oh, actually, we'll do this. Draw a card. Remove the other one. Draw that one again. Play it. Pay an additional one. Make a copy. We'll put the top on top. Tap this. Draw the top again. And then we'll play it for free. And we can just keep doing this, you know. Are we getting real far? Not yet, but at the same time, you know, we're creating our tokens. We're digging through our deck, you know, which is great. Kind of something we want to be doing here. We control a planet or an island. Let's pay 1. Look at the top 3 cards of our deck again. Hey, there's some stuff that we want. Okay, so now we'll put the original top there. 1, 2, 3, pay 1. Solemn Simulacrum. Before this goes off, we'll do this to get the top back. Search our library for 2 basic lands. And from here we're kind of just steamrolling. So I mean, it runs a very, very clean game. This actually was not a great hand for this deck, but hope this at least allows you to see kind of what the deck can do. We'll go back to the deck real quick, take a look at some of the other cards in here that I'm looking at putting in. Obviously, Urza Saga, I only own 1, which is why there's not 1 in this deck. Cyclonic Rift, I've been bouncing back and forth between whether or not I want it. Shuri, Wakandan Inventor, this card is just great. I think it would be really strong in this deck as another cost reducer for my artifacts, as well as that copy ability is really strong. Liberator I've always looked at just because it allows me to play my stuff as Flash. Master of Ethereum, another huge creature that not only pumps my board, but makes really cool copies. Ultron Artificial Malevolence, we've talked about this one before. Strong card that I think would really fit this deck's theme. As well as Smothering Tithe. I don't think that requires much explanation. 4 mana. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If that player doesn't, you create a treasure token. Machinist Arsenal, another one of those Nettlesis style effects, except it's +2/+2. Really strong card. I've loved this card when I first pulled it in pre-release. I will continue to love that card. And then Kappa Cannoneer, which I think is just a strong card altogether. So, other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this. Again, if you enjoy my content, please feel free to comment, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Your support does mean the world to me, and I would love to, get more support from you if possible. You don't have to do anything more than that. Just watch my videos and maybe talk to me from time to time. Again, you can always reach out to me also on the Jungle Games Entertainment Discord. We are going to be starting up a pre-con league there shortly, so hopefully that'll be something of interest, and you guys can watch some Commander gameplay as we get to that as well. But after all of that, I do hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and until next time, my name is Rob. I like to play games, and we'll see you all later. Take care, everybody.